Hello and welcome everyone. This is a quick video review of a game called Zombies, Monsters, Robots. It's from the company that publishes the Terra Online MMORPG in the United States, or at least in North America. And I thought it might be fun just to try it out. It's free to play. You can find it on Steam, as well as on the Zombies, Monsters, Robots website. I noticed a few unfortunate things about the game, though, when I first started it up. First was that it launched in windowed mode at a set resolution that you could not change, at least not readily. I even tried adding it to my... I've got a borderless windowed mode program in the background that can force most games into a borderless windowed, full screen kind of thing, running at your current screen resolution in Windows. And it was not able to force this game full screen. It was able to change the resolution, but not to the 1920 by 1080 that I usually play at. And when I tried to add it to that program, it would give me an error of some sort. It wasn't very specific as to what was wrong. Another unfortunate thing was that the default audio settings were so loud, you couldn't hear
Ready to rock.
These voice options. Well, you kind of could, but you could barely hear them. You can also see some of them don't play the first time you click on them.
Y'all come help me.
But anyway, those issues are not huge, obviously, because normally you open a game and you open the settings and you change them to make them the way you want them. As you can tell, this is the screen that the game starts on, and it wants you to create a character if you don't have one already. So, as you look around, there are no options. I mean, you can return, which just takes you back to the character selection screen. From there you can exit game, or you can go back to creating your character. There is no other UI controls. Keyboard functionality seems to be non-existent in the menus. In fact, most of the time the escape key does nothing. So let's just create a character with some random... 12 characters is the max, with some random nonsense as the name. And we'll go a little further. This is the next screen you get to after you either create a character or select one and click the play button. There, once again, are no options anywhere. You can select competitive PvP or cooperative PvE, player versus environment. It's where you're fighting monsters and shit instead of other players. That's it, other than a back button, and once again, escape does nothing. You can hit back to go back to the character selection screen, or you can click on the PvP or PvE options. So let's just pick PvE for the hell of it. Oh boy, I got free guns. Who gives a shit? I don't know why this is necessary. It didn't happen the first time I logged in. It won't go away either. That's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Well, anyway, as you can see, once you have joined a lobby, and it didn't give me the list of lobbies. If I were to back out and try again, it would give me a list. But for some reason this time it's not giving me the list, and it's not letting me interact with the game other than to start this training thing. Since I haven't had a chance to rebind my keys, I'm just going to see if I can exit. There we go. It was annoying to force you to go through the training thing on a new character. Annoying and unnecessary, especially since there's a button up here in the upper right to begin it. Now, you can see we finally do have some settings here, now that we're in the game. And you can tell I've already customized the video settings. So, the game is halfway presentable. The sound was jacked up all the way to 10 for all three of these. I still find the music volume just a tad too loud probably acceptable for most people. Default keybinds. One thing here that I consider absolutely unacceptable for any game is to restrict your rebinding of basic game functions. These you can't change. The ones that are grayed out, you can change this. Well, see, I can change all of those. I can change this to the thumb mouse button, but I cannot change these three. And if I accidentally click something I don't want to change and I hit escape to back out or to cancel, it backs me out of the whole settings menu. Also quite annoying. But these must be rebindable in order for the game to be essentially playable on any level. I know there are a great number of people who just play with default controls and they don't seem to give a shit. But there are a lot of us who insist on rebinding. And once again, I have no way to cancel the fact that I accidentally clicked on that. Now, another issue that the game has is these buttons are bound permanently. Left mouse, right mouse, and mouse wheel. You cannot bind them to anything else. It won't let you do it. And I find that unacceptable as well, because I absolutely want my right mouse button to be jump. I see no reason why it shouldn't be jump. Aim can be a thumb mouse button. There's no reason to have it as right mouse button. I have it as jump in every other game, and it's confusing and obnoxious to me to be forced to have my jump key as something else when it would be perfectly acceptable, and the game engine is Unreal, it supports it, to rebind the mouse buttons to my choosing. Now, I have not gone through to see if there's a settings file that I can edit to change my keybinds, and I will do that after the video review's over. I just wanted to express some of my frustration. I can't even bind the scroll wheel to something. Normally, I would bind scroll wheel down to reload, just to have it on my mouse. But because let's face it, you don't need the scroll wheel to toggle weapons. You can bind that to a key. You've got 1 through 5 set to change weapons. You don't need the scroll wheel to change them. So I usually bind wheel down to reload and leave wheel up set to next weapon, but I can't change that here. I can't rebind. I haven't even gone into control settings yet. Mouse sensitivity, zoom mode. I do actually prefer hold to zoom. Disable roll on double tap. I like that. I'm glad they have that at least. Game settings, crosshair. I can understand having it on all the time. It's nice that they have some options in here. No ammo impact. Not sure what the hell that means. Maybe it means no bullet holes or bullet impacts. And other than those little issues I have with the keybinds menu, the settings seem to be relatively okay. They have lots of functions you can bind keys to, but they have a lot of them that cannot be rebound. And I consider that to be absolutely unacceptable for a video game on a PC. You have to be able to rebind your keys if you want to. I mean, I understand some people don't. In fact, it seems like a lot of people don't. But I've been playing PC games since the days of DOS and Doom 2 and such. Wolfenstein 3D. And first off, I'm used to using the arrow keys for everything. And that limits the functions you can bind to keys that are around your fingers. Like, I won't have the spacebar for jump, so obviously I want jump to be right mouse. Now, I don't actually see a jump in here anywhere. So it becomes less of an issue. Although I do take an issue with any game that does not have a jump and pretends to be an action game. Jump is an essential function in an action game, and in fact Terra has it, whereas this game does not. So, I guess this review has been entirely negative, so maybe I should not call it a review and call it my bashing of zombies, monsters, robots. Or my critiques of. Critiques sounds nicer, doesn't it? But I just wanted to mention a few issues I have with this game. To recap, no settings whatsoever to begin with. Settings should be presented to the user immediately upon opening the game or before opening it. If you don't want them on the character creation screen, then they should be in the launcher. Keybinds. It's absolutely imperative to be able to rebind any key function. Any function that's bound to a key should be rebindable. You should be able to rebind any mouse button or key on the keyboard. They should not be permanently bound to anything. I don't care if it's an action game, I don't care if it's third person or FPS, I don't care if it's an MMORPG. Every key and every button should be rebindable. Every function should be bindable. Now, I'm sure that you can do it through the console. A lot of games like this do allow you to throw a command into the chat over here and rebind shit. If this game doesn't, then that puts it in the same category as Guild Wars 2. It doesn't allow you to rebind shit at all on the mouse, which is very, very frustrating for me. Aside from those few things, I'm sure it's a great game, and I'm going to go ahead and try to play it if I can get these keys rebound. If I can find a settings file to edit, a config file somewhere to change these keybinds, I'll do it. And if I manage to get that far and get the keybinds changed, I'll make another review to say what I think of the gameplay. So far, I'm not too optimistic considering the fact that this game seems to be missing some fundamental features of a game menu system, like the escape key working on anything other than the settings menu. That would be nice. Or the ability to cancel once you accidentally click one of these and you don't want to. I guess they figured that since you can't rebind the mouse buttons, it doesn't matter. You just click the one you want. That's really short-sighted in my opinion. And I know that's kind of rude to say that. I'm sure someone put a lot of work into this menu system. I just, as a gamer, I come to expect more from a game. I should rephrase that. As a PC gamer, I come to expect more from a game. And it seems like over the past couple of decades, especially the last decade, we have seen a huge regression in game usability and accessibility. Menu systems have been really terrible on a lot of games lately. And it's not just lately, we've seen them over the past 20 years that way a number of times. Usually it's console ports that are that way more than true PC games, but I play a game like Star Trek Online and everything is rebindable. Absolutely everything. They don't care what button I bind something to. You can have some really weird keyboard configs in that game if you really want to. The game engine does not care, and neither does the menu. And of course you can go crazy rebinding it in the console too. That's standard MMORPG, as far as I understand at least. But when you get used to a game like that, and a game like that which not only has basic video settings like this, but instead of a windowed mode checkbox, we have the option of windowed, full screen, and borderless full screen windowed mode, which is really awesome because you can just move the mouse out of the window and back in. You can have stuff on the right monitor or the left monitor or whatever and just move the mouse back and forth between the game window and whatever you're working on. And the fact that this game's missing features like that, and not only missing them, but I can't even force those features through a third-party program that works with most other games and usually works with games that use the same engine that this game is using, is kind of, I mean, it's not really a good first impression of a game when it's missing what I would consider essential features and has a poorly designed, I guess, menu system. It doesn't really have a menu system until you get into this lobby whatsoever. And I guess I should say, rather than just shit all over this game and the way they handled the menu, I should say what I consider a good menu in a game to be. And And I've thought about this recently. What does and does not make a good menu system in a game? And every time I think about the menus in games and which ones I've liked and which ones I've not liked, I always come back to Valve games. Half-Life 2, Left 4 Dead, even source-based games like Garry's Mod. The menus are actually fairly good for the most part. Garry's Mod is probably not as good as, say, Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 is a very simple menu. It's neat, it's clean, it doesn't need to be big, but I think, if I remember right, you can make it bigger or smaller if you want to, which is great. It's a good menu. And I think back on all the games I've played since the days of MS-DOS, and I can't think of a menu system in a game that I've liked better than what I've found in some of the basic Valve titles. Even Half-Life, the original Half-Life, has a better menu than most modern games do. And it's really sad. It's really sad that a company, one company, seems to be able to make good menus for their games, and every other company out there seems to have no clue how to make a good, accessible, easy-to-use menu. And I guess I can't shit on the menu design in this game that bad. It is a simple menu, it's easy to use, it has plenty of options. I could turn blur off, thank God. I hate blur. I have a 144Hz monitor, I hate blur. I can tweak all of the quality myself. I had good anti-aliasing settings. I do not seem to have any, anisotropic filter, or however the hell you say it. I've forgotten, but it doesn't matter. I don't seem to have that option anywhere, which is unfortunate. But aside from that, the menus, the graphic settings are okay and all that. I wish the FPS limits were more than just 3. I've got a 144Hz monitor. Also, there should be no option to limit the FPS, or there should be an option to not limit the FPS. I know there's a vertical sync option, but what's this upper limit 60? I don't want an upper limit. I want unlimited FPS. Or at the very least capped at my monitor's refresh rate, please. I mean, what if I have a 240Hz refresh rate on my monitor? Am I going to want a 60Hz FPS, or a 60 FPS in game? No, I'm going to want a 240 FPS, or an FPS of 240. Just so happens this monitor is 144 Hz, and my ideal FPS is going to be 144, so that the game looks nice and smooth on the monitor. That's just the way it is. The game engine may not run as smooth at that frame rate. I guess that's possible. But usually as long as the hardware, the physical hardware in the computer can handle that frame rate for that game, it's not a big deal. And the game looks better and runs smoother. But anyway, I guess that's it. I'm done shitting on this game for the moment. I may shit on it a little more later once I have tried looking for the keyboard control config file, if there is one. And if I can't find one, I may contact their support and ask if there's any way to rebind those keys. And we'll see what we can get. So for now, I guess thank you for watching, and have a nice day.